Kevin, good morning. How are you?
Morning, Jim. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great, thanks. Happy Friday in these uncertain times.
Yeah, is it Friday?
I'm looking up to make sure now that you said that. But well, I'll kick this off. This is our Chorus Daily Briefing. I appreciate you joining us today. And the objective here is just for us to share the insights and the intelligence that we're seeing across the entire market, and just helping leaders out there to understand really what's happening in the field kind of holistically, and then to have a great conversation with you and hear about, as Chief Customer Officer at Brightflag, what are you seeing and what are you doing to navigate this? But before we jump in, I'm just curious. I know you're out in New York. How's it? Speaking about the heart on the slide, how are you doing? How are you, your loved ones, and just how are you holding up personally?
I'm doing all right. Thanks for asking. I was born and raised in Manhattan, and it's where I am now. I'm actually less than a half a mile away from where I was born and raised. So it's an unusual time to be in New York. I was here on September 11th, and I took a run up Fifth Avenue yesterday. I ran 2 miles, and I ran in the middle of Fifth Avenue. And I'm here to tell the tale. So that should tell you something about how quiet it is outside, which I think is a good thing. It's not hard to practice social distancing on a run when there's no one else out there.
No, no. Well, geez, you've seen a lot. I happen to be living in New York as well back in September of '01. So tough times then.
Yeah.
And I was looking at the data yesterday, just on the New York side, 6,000 new cases, at least based on the data I'm seeing. So stay safe. I'm glad you're out running and at least getting some fresh air. I snuck
Yep.
out yesterday a little bit for a walk.
Good.
Let's jump in. I'm going to screen share here, and let's jump into the data and what we're seeing. And then we'll jump into specifically postponing of deals and kind of these longer payment terms and specifics that we've seen just in the last 3 weeks. I started the week sharing sort of what we're seeing across different segments in terms of productivity. I've been most focused on, are people continuing to meet with sales communities, and how is that impact? And overall, we shared that it was down just 10% overall, and in some categories up. On Wednesday, we dug a little bit deeper, looking at specifically how are COVID-19 mentions impacting these meetings. And we saw the increase from 8% to 63% on March 8th to over 98% of calls. So basically just about every call in the first 10 minutes, we're talking about this in the training. Today, this is what we wanted to share with the group and really dig into. And that is just focused on, as we're all out there helping solve problems for the different customer segments we service, are people still buying? Are deals slipping? And the data that we're bringing to market today is, if you look at how we're picking up on signals around postpone and delay and a various collection of words that are kind of tied to the economic drivers, we have seen an increase. Just from March 2nd to March 9th, there was an 18% increase in the conversations talking about postponement and delay of deals. And just in the last, from the 9th to the 16th, we saw a 37% increase in postponement of deals. And so I'll start there. I'm curious. Well, actually, let me do one more slide, then we'll jump in, Kevin. The second part here is when we look at the payment terms. One of the areas that I know we're all focused on is just making sure that we're running our businesses effectively, we're working well with our customers. What we've seen here, which is interesting, is just in the last few weeks, there's been a significant increase of customer conversations asking for greater than 30-day payment terms. So up from 23% to 27%, 31% on the 16th, and I'm pretty sure by the time we have data for this final week, we're going to see an increase as well. So I'm curious, from your perspective, Kevin, what do you think revenue leaders should be doing out there in terms of how should we be working with our teams on these topics? Any training that you're thinking about?
Yeah. So I think the context in which we're operating is probably important. So Brightflag provides software that helps corporate legal teams to better manage their spend with law firms. And so, of course, we're in this environment in which cost control has instantly become extremely important. I would prefer that there not be a global pandemic going on, but I do think that. Yeah, but I think that we're in a good place to help companies to get through what is a very rough time. And my perspective on this, which is quite different than it was, frankly, 5 years ago, is if you have confidence in your product, if you believe that it's going to deliver value, then deprioritize in your mind short-term considerations like payment terms and invoicing frequency, and frankly, even conditioning getting started on having a signature. So what we're looking to do is to get customers into the product as quickly as possible and to remove barriers to entry, because the way that we're thinking about the next 12 months is that companies are going to go through 3 phases. The first phase, and we're all in this right now, is it's time to batten down the hatches. We have to reduce our expenses. We need to curtail hiring. We might even need to make difficult decisions to reduce the number of people we already have, in the company. And so all of that plays very well to what Brightflag does, and we want to get the product into our customers' hands easily. The second phase, and this is kind of specific to the business that Brightflag is in, is that legal costs are actually going to go up. There's going to be costly litigation. There are going to be new regulations. When you look at large companies like General Motors looking to lay off thousands of people, there are real costs associated with that. And so we're looking for ways to help customers get through those first 2 phases so that they can be prepared for the third phase, which is the pandemic passes and everyone wants to make up for lost time. So how can you be empowered to move quickly once it's time to step on the gas? So, we are seeing requests for more lenient payment terms, and frankly, our answer is just yes, because that's not a long-term issue for us. As far as deals slipping is concerned, from my perspective, it's too soon to know.
Yeah.
And there are patterns, there are individual data points that we're seeing that frankly don't support a larger pattern. To give you an example,
that's the part I want to dig in here. Exactly, because I think that, Kevin, is that I think the assumption is that the world's gone on pause. I mean, if you pull out, you think that everyone's working from home and kids are running around and we're all in unique situations, but the data keeps showing that it is running, that there's problems to be solved. And I am curious, as you dig into this, what are you seeing? Is the world continuing to run? Is your team still having those productivity and great conversations?
Yeah, so the quality of the conversations has been very strong. No one has ghosted us. There have been a few minutes that have pushed, meetings that have pushed by a day or a week, and in 1 or 2 cases by a month or 2. But I'll just give you a few specific examples, without sharing the individual company names, of course. We're about to close a deal with a major investment firm. I wouldn't have expected investment firms to be making any purchases right now. One of our RFPs is with a major global airline, and they're accelerating the timeline. Again, that's kind of the last thing that I would be expecting right now. But then we've got some other businesses that are intentionally slowing down their cycles. And if there is a pattern that I'm detecting here, it's how well equipped these organizations were to be collaborating remotely prior to this sudden shift. So some organizations, we're very lucky to be working for technology companies. There's never been a better time, literally, than right now to be working for a software company where, if necessary, you can move the entire operation remote with the flick of a switch, which is what we did, and I know what Chorus did as well. Not every organization is that lucky, and I'm not talking about restaurants, for example. I'm talking about established global enterprises that are using, version 1 video conferencing software or version 1 audio conferencing software easily, with a robust VPN rules, but maybe not robust VPN technology. So they're literally not able to collaborate. And so where we're seeing slowdowns in deals is less about budget being cut or budget being eliminated than it is about these prospects needing to figure out how to work remotely before they can get back to the business of buying.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think that we're going to see, and I'm hoping that from a virus standpoint, we have better days ahead and better weeks just coming up shortly. And none of us know. So we'll wait and see how this plays out. But as we get to the summer months, I do think there'll be a significant focus from the enterprises to make sure that as we approach next year's flu season, and we don't know what's going to happen, that we might be repeating a push to work from home, that I think there will be some significant investments on shoring up and training and making sure it's not such a fire drill, but that people are ready to really, move their work to that remote scenario. So it'd be interesting watching how the next few months play out for just helping, how do we help companies do this better with more preparation?
Yeah, absolutely.
On the payment terms, it's interesting. I think that companies are at different spots. I appreciate the way you've shared that. Your that customer first attitude of just, look, we got tough times everywhere. How do we help people? I've seen others that are trying to balance that. Everyone's got different situations and different sheets. And I've heard, either, creating flexibility, but potentially, a 2-year deal, but more flexibility year one, just trying to ease concerns and have fair programs that can work for both companies and shifting burdens. And so we'll ask in just a little bit on the poll some thoughts on kind of deals, but if anyone has comments they want to post in the LinkedIn, share your comments on what you're doing as well in terms of how you're handling these specific deal terms. In terms of deals pushing out, Kevin, are you having customers say we're in freezes, we're in hiring freezes, and we're just going to pause, or do you just, are people still kind of saying send us the contracts?
Are you asking about customers or prospects?
Prospects.
Yeah, so we're not really seeing any significant, we're not seeing any total cancellations of buying cycles. We have seen a few, as I said, we need an extra 2 weeks because we've just shifted to working remotely and the schools just closed, et cetera. But for the most part, things are moving forward. And as I said, there have been things that have really surprised me. Deals accelerating, which is even beyond them sort of staying status quo, which has been great to see. But I do think that as things continue to progress, especially in the United States over the next few weeks, that we are likely to see some slowdowns, and we're anticipating some slowdowns. So one of the main messages that I've been delivering to the team, and the team has been responding to extremely well, is to stop asking for favors, to stop asking for the prospect to do something for us, and to go into full on, we are here to support you. How can we be creative to overcome obstacles that you might be having in your organization? Some of that is about pricing models, payment terms, but a lot of it is about, for example, repeating a demo because someone wasn't able to join it, and we want to make sure that every stakeholder in evaluation is getting the same sort of exposure. So we're just all hands on deck to help our customers and our future customers.
I'm curious. I know a lot of us, myself included at Chorus, we've been working to create a more friction-free way to get people in and have a free starter program. How difficult was it for you to, you mentioned that you've been working to create an easier way for people to kind of instantly get in. How difficult was that to operationalize and sort of get into that motion?
Well, so the good news is that we made a decision to prioritize drastically reducing our time to implement about 6 months ago. And so, when we started that initiative about 6 months ago, the average time to implement was hovering around 4 months. We're delivering enterprise software, which requires integration with accounts payable software. It can be pretty messy. And now we implement more than half of our customers in under 45 days. So, those investments in our customer success initiatives are really starting to pay dividends now, because our sales team is able to go to the market and say, you need to implement a cost control program. You're telling us you need to implement a cost control program in 60 days. Yeah. We can actually deliver on it. And so, it's working really well.
No, I think that's fantastic. Those are the same types of dialogues we're having in our own company. It's just, how do we get people provisioned as quickly as possible and just get to value. We'll deal with business terms and those later on. Let's just get people the intelligence they need. I had one question we pulled for the live group that we've got on the call today. We've got a good group here. The question really is just for everyone else. Are your customers pushing committed deals out for the quarter? And let me just pull this up and I'll launch this. And so if anyone out there, if everyone just wants to go through here, and we'll quickly see what comes up. So click on the different items. It's about same as usual is trending at about 50% here. All right, here it's flowing. Okay. Just look at the real stats here. So 43%, about same as usual, 14% slightly more than usual. So our customers pushing committed deals out of the quarter. 13% said yes, significantly more than usual are pushing the deals out. Great, so let me pause that. So overall, it looks like 38%, about the same as usual, 25%, slightly more than usual, 13%, much more than usual. So it is I mean, look, there's challenge for all of us running revenue teams, all of us running companies right now to best serve the customers. Kevin, I really appreciate your thoughts about just that customer first, and just, you know, we're all one. How do you help them? And it's very authentic hearing you talk about that today. Your team is lucky to have you, and I appreciate you joining us today as we talk through just the intelligence and helping others get the data.
Thanks, Jim. Appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate it. Have a great Friday and rest of the day.
You too. Take care.
Okay. Sounds good. Bye-bye.